So this week I asked a lot of polls in my community tab just to see where you guys were at and some of your opinions, and so I thought it'd be fun to just see your guys' reaction but then talk about it a little bit. How does that sound? A few days ago I said, "You're the general manager. Which quarterback are you building your team around?" My options were Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jalen Hurts, and Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy got zero love, but Josh Allen got about 50% of the votes, Burrow with 35, Jalen Hurts with 15. Doesn't surprise me that a lot of people are hovering towards Josh Allen. That's a good pick. Me, I would just say the only reason why I would pick Joe Burrow or Jalen Hurts would just be only because of playoff success. And it's torn. I'm torn, but I would probably pick. I mean, with who they got in the squad right now, I would pick Joe Burrow and the Bengals, and that's who I'd build around. What are you excited for? I put college football or the NFL, and college football absolutely got ratioed 14% to 86. I would say, I think that reached a huge group of NFL fans, which is great. I'm lukewarm in the middle where it's like I'm actually a little bit more excited for college football because I think we're entering a season, and I'll say this, but talk about it a little more in another video, where this will be the year that Georgia's probably dethroned and they fail to capitalize and get a three-peat, because the NFL is pretty predictable. I mean, it's probably going to go to an AFC team. It's probably going to go to either the Chiefs or, someone who just barely traded for a new player like Rodgers or, Bills, Bengals. Like, it's probably going to go to one of the top 5 teams right now. You need this dude for 2 to 3 years to make a run. Who's your guy? Lamar Jackson, food appreciation specialist, extreme Kirk, or QB Ken, Jimmy Garoppolo. 71% went with the food appreciation enthusiast. If I got 2-3 years, I would say with the current situation, like how we are right now with those teams and all the guys that I listed out, I'd pick Aaron Rodgers, but that's only just due to who is on the Ravens right now. And just I don't think Lamar Jackson has enough weapons around him to, solidify and be a solid team, because Baltimore's defense wasn't as good as the Jets last season. So for 2 seasons, 3-season window, I'd pick Aaron Rodgers. Which conference is winning the Super Bowl, AFC or the NFC? Out of 16 votes, AFC won with 56%. I'd have to agree, double down. I think the NFC, there's way too many questions because ultimately looking at it right now, Eagles, 49ers, and I don't know who's that third team that's creeping up. Like, nobody from the South. Lions, okay, Lions win the North, but how far are they going to get? You know what I mean? And then in the East, it's not like the Cowboys are going to come out of nowhere. So the AFC is stacked and has so much better teams. Are influencers ruining the integrity of boxing? We had a boxing match a few weeks ago with Jake Paul, but then also we've had Logan fight, we've had KSI, we've had, retired NFL players, YouTubers have their Royal Rumble or whatever, that one week where there's that meme of Markiplier like losing his mind in the stands. A lot of people were like, yep. And there was one of the top comments was like, anybody thinks they can go all willy-nilly and fight, which is, not what it's supposed to be. And I agree with that. Like, if you look at boxing and what boxing is in its purest form, doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, the only thing that matters is your weight class, obviously. Literally, dudes train their whole lives. Like Manny Pacquiao trains his whole life. Floyd Mayweather, Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, all these great. And it's like for a YouTuber, like Jake Paul, who all he did when he was 13, 14 years old was make 7-second clips. But then, he hit the gym for about 18 months, juiced up a little bit on some creatine. It's like, yes, but at the end of the day, it comes down to what makes money. I mean, I respectfully, Conor McGregor is one of my favorite fighters of all time. But, like, when he boxed against Mayweather, yes, it kind of ruined it because it's like he's not a boxer. He's like an MMA fighter. Like, put him in a cage, let him, go at it. But, I mean, what impressed me is because he already had the background of fighting itself, he was able to last as long as he did, which to me is very impressive, because it's like, if you put Mayweather against any of these guys that think that they can box, they're going to get smoked. Pacquiao, they're going to get smoked. Like, guys who can actually box and who have been boxing their whole lives, oh, they're going to get smoked. And so that's why we have matches where, you know, like this most recent one, we got someone in the octagon going over to the boxing rink versus, you know, an influencer that's put a few, you know, months into the gym. What did we expect? You know what I mean? You know, because if the tides turned a little bit and, you know, one of these YouTubers wanted to go fight Sean O'Malley or something like that, oh, dude, game over. Now, I wouldn't discredit the work that they put into getting themselves trained and ready to go, but there should be a tier list of like, okay, this is amateur boxing, this is semi-amateur, you know, before we just label, okay, this is a professional boxer, because it's like, no, like the level of competition is not the same. Even though they are making thousands to millions of dollars, the level of competition is not the same. Did Mahomes deserve number one? If not, why? 71% out of 21 votes said yes. The other half said no. I'm going to have to agree with the yes. I mean, he did win the Super Bowl. He was the Super Bowl MVP. Chiefs absolutely tore it up this season, so rightfully so. Plus, at the end of the day, it is a popularity contest. Could Dan Marino win a ring in today's league? One of the comments was like, yeah, you know, all you need is a good quarterback and a, you know, coach system like Shanahan. Like, if Shanahan was with Dan Marino, dude, Dan Marino would be the GOAT. No, but I'm teasing. But I think just when you look at the NFL, what's funny is, like, yes, everybody was a professional back then, and this joke's made about Michael Jordan in the NBA. It's like, if Dan Marino had as many professionals that are, like, training daily for hours and hours on end versus, you know, who he had, you know, the blue-collar, white-collar workers back in the day who had their normal jobs during the week, it's like, yeah, there's a reason why he didn't go as far as other guys, because just, I mean, it was a totally different era. But C.J. Stroud, after his debut against the Patriots, with his interception and stat line, I put bust already, yes or no. 81% said no, but there was that 19% that said yes. It just goes to show that preseason is it's a totally different world. And honestly, there's huge overreactions, but then at the same time, like, it is warranted. I mean, yes, it is preseason, but then at the same time, like, you got to perform. It is only one game, so I wouldn't say he's a bust already. A little bit of an overreaction. Who's winning the national championship this year for college football? Obviously, it is the Pac-4, the SEC, the Big Ten, Big 12, or the ACC. Out of 13 votes, 54% said the SEC. Got to agree with that. Stats don't lie. I mean, even recently, I think 6 out of the last 5, like, there was the one that Clemson snuck in there, but, like, national championship's going to go to the SEC. The shocker surprise that I would say is, if it's not the SEC, it's going to go back to the ACC, and a team that has won it before, Clemson. Then the last one, is preseason ball worth it? Yes, no, or unsure. And out of 14 votes, 50% said yes, 43 said no, and 7% said unsure. I think overall as a whole, yes, the preseason is worth it, but the hype behind it and everything from, like, coverage and all this and that, treating it like it is the regular season, no, that's totally unwarranted, because it's resourceful and it's very, you know, it's worth it in the end, because 90 player rosters down to 53 after a 4-week, 5-week span, just depending on when your first game is. And so that's where it like actually has meaning, is the GMs, the coaches, they got to find that way to take it from 90 down to 53, you know, plus 15 to 20 guys for their practice squad players. At the end of the day, like, the Chiefs preseason last year didn't have any effect on them winning the Super Bowl. The Eagles preseason didn't have any effect on, you know, Reddick hitting Brock Purdy's arm at just the right time to, you know, have him have a Tommy John's injury there. So, like, in the long run, the preseason doesn't affect too much, but, like, individually for organizations, it does, where it's like, hey, this guy, for example, the Browns right now, it's like Dorian Thompson-Robinson. is doing pretty decent. Or with the Raiders today, with their new quarterback out of Purdue, it's like, hey, that dude's pretty good. Let's get him on the team. But we as NFL fans have been starving, so it's like, of course, we are psychotic enough to be like, oh, yes, of course, I'm going to watch this. So, anyways, thanks for listening to me ramble. I'll try to catch you in the next video. Peace.